All right, we're going to go grab a phone call here. Sherry from Tennessee. Aloha, Sherry. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I'm joining late. I know you've been, I'm sure, been talking about this Senate bill that they passed. And what they've done, as I see it, is they've committed treason against every U.S. citizen there is. And I don't know if you saw the wording, but they've said anybody is an enemy combatant that's belligerent against the United States. Well, that means you,
yes,
me, anybody who has had a voice that has said that we don't like what the government's been doing, that's belligerent. And they can actually, the military can come and take us, and that is treason. I think the senators are now the terrorists against the U.S. citizens.
Actually, they've declared war on the American people. There was another guy who was up there who was basically saying they can't cope with a world in which we have the internet and the blogs, and they're saying they have to take drastic steps to drag us back to the middle of the last century when media was always one way. They would speak, we would believe, and they could have all the wealth and riches and, the military-industrial complex, and, we're retraining here, okay? I thought we finally had good, clean phone. All right, we're back. Here we are, testing 1, 2, 3. No, so basically, they don't know how to deal with the 21st century, and this is a panic button.
Yeah.
There's even this situation where, along with the detentions part of this Defense Authorization Act, there's a provision in there to basically wipe out the few remaining restrictions on the use of torture. I just posted that to whatreallyhappened.com. It's not just the detentions part. There is a provision in there which says all these laws that were passed back in 2005 when the American people were shocked to find out our government was engaging in torture, were just, they're going to be taken back out. And they're going to say, yeah, go out and torture again. That's in there as well. They're scared. They're terrified of the American people. I don't think they're actually going to be...
Well, what's also, though... There's so many of the people don't want to know. They don't know about it, and they don't want to know about it, and it drives me crazy.
Do you know why?
So many people.
Do you know why? Because the instant they understand that the government is really doing this stuff, then they have to make a choice what they're going to do about it. And to do something about it carries risks that we're all already familiar with. To not do anything about it makes you just as guilty as the Germans who went along with Hitler. And most people,
I think so too.
Most people don't want to face that choice, so they'll gladly accept any tiny bit of propaganda that says everything is fine and you don't have to worry, and they go back to watching American Idol. The good news is that number of self-deluded people is shrinking rapidly, and that's why the government's out there screaming about detentions and use of torture. And I don't think they're actually going to do it. They're just trying to scare you all to go back being silent. It's not going to work because it's pissing us off. We got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this thing where, we've got the Senate looking at this detentions of Americans by the military, basically eliminating safeguards against the use of torture against Americans by the U.S. government. It's all very scary stuff. And you get back to this idea, what's a terrorist? And 3 years ago, remember that Missouri Fusion Center, MIAC, the Missouri Information Analysis Center, came out and said that people investigating what the government was doing, like the Oklahoma City bombing, or remember all the problems with that story, they're defined as terrorists. We've got an FBI brochure that says, people who talk about the Constitution are terrorist suspects. That's how dangerous we are in this country. We're at the edge. We're at the dawning of the Gulag era. And yeah, for those Americans who don't want to face up to what's going on, they'd better wake up. Because they're going to wind up in those camps along with everybody else. They really, really are. If the U.S. government actually dares to do it. I think it's propaganda to scare you all into being silent. We are watching you. We will do bad things to you unless you do as you're told. Schweinhund. I mean, if the U.S. government were to lock up 300 million unhappy Americans in the gulags, the country would quit running. Be even more effective than a national strike. So this is the United States government declaring war on the American people and using terror tactics. That's what it is. They're terrorizing you. Do as you're told. Breed us soldiers. Give your money to the money junkies, or we will do bad things to you. And the Constitution will not protect you. That's what it is. It's a bluff. We'll be right back. And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're not really a welfare state. We're a fascist state. The money is being taken from we the people and showered all over Wall Street and the bankers. There's no welfare out here. They're cutting all of the social services that we actually pay taxes for. So Obama is not a socialist, and he's not a communist. He's a fascist. We went from capitalism to fascism so fast we didn't even have time to wave at communism. Here comes communism, and there it goes. Now we're a fascist state here. Alrighty, over in the Eurozone, as you probably saw yesterday, the stock market was just soaring up there between the good news from Christmas shopping and Black Friday, and now that the real numbers are coming in rather than estimates, they're kind of having to pull back a little bit. Everyone's saying there's going to be another deal in Europe. They're close to a deal. They're close to a deal. What's going to happen yesterday, today? Didn't happen either one. I'm beginning to think all this promises about a Euro deal is just another bump and dump that they're doing on Wall Street. They have their friends in the media say, announce there's going to be a deal in Europe, and everybody starts buying stocks. And the scammers get in there and wait till the market peaks, then they sell off theirs, and the news comes out, there is no European deal, and everything crashes again. And they keep doing it over and over again, and they're just making tons and tons of money off of other people here. The reality is there is no deal, and the Nikkei just opened, and they're already down. So I think reality is finally showing up for a Wednesday morning here. The reality is over in Europe, they haven't come up with a deal yet. And now they're talking they need a larger bailout fund. They can't even get people to come in and support the current bailout fund. And the Eurozone ministers are saying, actually, we need a bigger number. And this is starting to look a lot like the original TARP because it's coming out. Remember on the news we kept hearing about $700 billion? The Troubled Asset Relief Program is going to cost $700 billion. And we called up Congress and said, don't do it. Don't use our money to save the bankers from their own stupidity and criminality. And Congress went ahead and did it anyway because their money's invested in those Wall Street banks, and they're not going to let themselves go bankrupt. You know, not while they've got the taxpayer to cover the losses. And it's turning out now that, in point of fact, TARP actually cost closer to $8 trillion with a T. They lied to you again. So now the Eurozone ministers are saying that even their current estimated bailout fund is inadequate to deal with the crisis over there. They're still trying to find that 11th marble. They're still trying to borrow one more cork for the bottom of the boat without drilling another hole in the bottom of the boat. Whichever metaphor you want to use. There is no way to solve this solution as long as you are in the grip of a private central bank issuing the public currency as a loan at interest. It cannot be repaired. It cannot be made to work. You have to do what Andrew Jackson did. You have to do what John F. Kennedy tried to do. You have to do what Abraham Lincoln tried to do. You have to shut that private bank down and restore the creation of money to the civil government itself. There is no other solution. And yes, the U.S. will point bombs and guns and napalm and all the rest of that at any world leader daring to suggest a state bank and a value-based currency, but that doesn't make it right.